Hello and welcome to the Inner Mind podcast with me, Victoria Armstrong and Stuart Cheung.
Stuart Cheung.
We're back
Good morning.
again. Good morning. Funny, during the week I was trying to educate an English person that you don't say top of the morning to Irish people because nobody ever says that. Native Irish people don't say that to each other. Anyway, it's probably
I
not the
beg to
way.
differ.
Well, do you? I've never heard it.
Sometimes,
Do you say it to each other
uh,
down south?
sometimes, no. Well, I'm a bit weird. Like sometimes I'd say it to people, and people kind of look at me and go, "Well, what's he talking about?"
Exactly, there you go.
So, yeah,
My case is with. No, I was just saying it's not really a thing. It's like, well, how's it going? Are you well? How's the form?
yeah. What's the
I,
story?
s-
What's the story?
I think it's more, right, in fairness. I concluded with it was a more American thing. I think Americans made it up, like Patty's Day, coming up to St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, happy day. Yeah,
Or by the
same.
time this goes out, this will be after Paddy's Day, but they say Patty, and it's like, it's Paddy. It's not Patty. It's Irish. So you have Patrick, yes, with the T, but it's Patty. Anyway, today is all about creativity. Could you guess? Because my
Yeah,
creativity is, woo,
creative flow.
it's
Creative
gone out
flow.
the window somewhere. So let's see where we're getting started because obviously we we practice what we preach. We don't script.
Yeah,
Sorry, this light is really getting to me. It's really sitting
you're
on
right.
me. But anyway, I'm just going to soldier on. Haha. So let's see. Creative. What is creativity? Creativity is the flow. Well, I think good to take us back a step. I think most people associate it with being musically, artistically talented. You can write, you can draw, you can compose or play music, speak another language. Think something that you have to learn, but you've got a natural ability or liking for it. And I think it's where people put it in a little box, tie it all up, and then boom, that's it. I'm not artistic. If I had a euro for every time I've heard that, it's like actually you are. You just haven't developed it. Because even Ed Sheeran, believe it or not, he used to busk on the streets of Galway, which is where his song "Galway Girl," his version of it. I prefer the original, but his version of it's not. It's good. It's all about English guy meeting the Irish girl and all that. But he didn't. People say, "Oh, you're so lucky to have that talent," and he has quoted. I've read the quotes from him saying, "Actually, I know it's something I had to learn." And the fact that he took himself out onto the street, you have to give credit for that because that's not for the faint-hearted. Stand putting yourself right in the public there. You might as well be standing naked,
Yeah,
um, because of the exposure, the criticism, things like that. But he believed in himself. There's something was driving him, and I suppose that's what we want to get into, isn't it? The energy of it, in terms of
true.
like where does that motivation, that inspiration come from? So I will hand over to Stuart in terms of what, because you're a very creative person in terms of how you did your logo and everything and the ideas
Yeah,
that you get. So where do you think your creativity journey started?
thanks, Vic. I suppose it comes from passion.
Yes.
For me, if you're passionate about something, it's very strong. It's very kind of it's heartfelt.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're driving forwards with anything that you feel passionate about, I mean, some of us get stuck in the wrong jobs, and or we go to college and we figure out after 3 or 4 years that the
Yes.
degree that we got, we're not passionate about after doing it for 3 or 4 years. You
Yes.
come
Yeah.
out the other side and you go, I'm not really passionate about this, but you might be even forced into the area. And, I don't want to cause a storm here or anything like that, but sometimes we are kind of programmed a path
Mm-hmm.
that, maybe our father did this, or maybe our mother did this, or maybe this path has been in our family for so long. And sometimes people can get stuck in that path,
Yes, that's
so
true. Yeah.
yeah, I know
Mm.
somebody in Dublin here. She's a family of a famous jeweler, and she deviated from that path because she wasn't passionate about it. She didn't feel that it was her. She
Yeah.
followed her music. She followed her
Brilliant.
own
Yes.
creativity.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel that sometimes, if it doesn't come from your heart, then what's the point in doing it? And I think
Mm-hmm.
creativity stems from that first. And
Yes.
then, you can learn skills as you go along. And they say some people are naturally gifted, and then some people, have raw talent, and then other people, they have to learn these skills, but it's something that
Mm-hmm.
they're very, very passionate about.
Yeah, no, totally. And sometimes it's just part of our journey. I mean, that's my experience. I was kind of always interested in writing. I've always been a reader, and I was
Mm.
always interested in writing as well. And I knew I was going to write a book someday, but when and what about? I want. I see there's a creativity flowing there. Music, but music does make us feel alive. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're like, for example, here's a little mind tool that I use. Days where you're just feeling a bit low. Think about what is making you feel low or what's going on in your life at the moment. Whether it's a relationship or maybe you've been made redundant or you've been sacked. Find a song that actually has those words and listen to the words, because loads of songs, like Amy Winehouse, for example, her songs came from her pain. She could not have written those
yeah,
songs. And I've always said this, and people says, "Oh, you're just." Somebody said to me one time on Facebook, "Oh, you're just romanticizing a drug addict." And I was like, "No, but think about it from a spiritual perspective. She chose that path. That was her soul's purpose to come in, go through that pain, and reconnect." She did admit that the relationship she was in was toxic and things like that, but that was her role to play. It was her choice. But
yes.
something, and I think what you've hit on there, the passion. She obviously felt a connection, a passion with the partner. I don't know if she ever married him. Sure she didn't. I don't think she did.
I don't think so.
Um, I'm pretty sure she didn't. But yeah, she did admit that, yeah, the relationship was toxic, but it was something that she went through. She connected with so many people because of her words and her music, and people knew the struggle she was having, and people could relate to it. And I'd say in her short lifespan, um, because there is that celebrity 27 club, isn't it, that people talk about, that
Yeah,
certain celebrities only get to 27, but they come in for a very short, sharp purpose, connect at such a high level with so many people, and then they're gone. So it's a
yeah,
short, sharp blast, and that's all they need to do. They make their impact and they're gone. They probably make more impact in that time than people do living to 40, 50, 60 and beyond. Um, so yes, the passion has to be there. That's the drives the momentum.
yes.
Um, and then there was this thing for my 20s where people kept saying to me, "Oh, I mean, you're with your friends, especially in Ireland. You're sitting in the bar, you're telling jokes, and you're having a crack. The crack is 90, as we would say." And people say to me, "Oh, you should be on the stage," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, cleaning it, haha," and I'd be making the jokes and laughing at them. And then one day it just dawned on me, why does it keep coming at me? Because even when I moved to Galway from the north, people were saying the same thing, and there was open mic nights, and I actually, the way I was working that time, I couldn't make them. I was teaching a couple of evening classes for a college, and I realized, okay, I can't make those. But when I went back north after that, then I got into a relationship, and our dates were all going to comedy nights because that was our common ground. We found
Yeah,
out, and so we were able to. We didn't have to go on our own anymore. We could take somebody with us, and we were doing it. And he kept saying to me, my partner at the time, he kept saying to me, "Would you not think about doing comedy? I can see you doing that." And I'm like, "Have you got some sort of weird fetish or something? What's what's this about?" I know. There's no censor here.
that's all.
But no, but that's actually what went through my head. I was like, why does he keep saying this to me? What's going on? Anyway, I decided to do it. I thought, you know what, it's a new relationship. I'll do it once. I'll shut him up.
Yeah,
That would be my escape plan.
yeah. But
One
sometimes
month
we see
later,
creativity. Sometimes we see creativity in others. So
well, no,
sometimes,
yes, he was, yeah,
yeah,
he was
like
a very creative person.
yeah, he must have saw something in you in
Yeah,
order for to push you forward. And sometimes other people see stuff in us, a
yes,
creativity or a spark that we don't even see ourselves. So
yeah.
maybe he saw that in you. He said, "Okay, listen, why didn't you develop that? Why didn't you push that forward?" But sorry, go
Well,
on.
yes. No, 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 you're fine, because um, I did think myself, he's a cameraman, and he's written and produced himself and directed things. And I thought, well, he's
Yeah,
actually a professional. So joking aside with the relationship stuff, but maybe that's something I should actually look into. So I said 1 month later, um, uh, what was it? I got picked on one of the comedy nights. I went up to the
wow,
promoter afterwards, and he says, "Oh, because the guy said to me, what do you do for a living?" And I says, "Internet marketing." And he says, "I can't really make a joke out of that." And I says, "Well, that's bad for your career, isn't it?" Or something like that. So everybody laughed at me rather than him. And I thought, oh.
yeah, But,
You
but
know,
a true comedian should be able to make a joke out of anything, right?
well, that's
So,
it. He couldn't,
yeah,
interestingly enough, and I think this is where he was channeling a little bit because he turned around and says, "Well, I can see you're a woman on a mission." And it was like he went into a different mode of mind. Maybe he didn't realize he was doing that, but I recognized it straight away, and I thought, "Oh, there's something going on here." So I went up to promote
yeah,
it afterwards, and he says, "Yes." He says, "I liked your comment." He says, "Can you do?" He actually gave me a date there and then, which was a couple of months down the line. Yeah, a couple of months. So no, it was a month down the line. Um, or was it the next couple of weeks? I can't remember. It was a very short span. I didn't have much time. Anyway, I got up and did it. He says to me, "I have another venue. Would you like to do that?" And I says, "No, I don't have time to write another set." And he says, "No, you do the same stuff, but just tweak it." Anyway, 3 months
yeah.
later, my partner and I are running our own comedy club in Belfast,
Wow,
in the Belfast
wow,
March. And we started off. You can look these up there, videos there on YouTube. Laughter Shed.
yeah,
And then him and I separated, and I went into my sister helped me design Crazy Cat Comedy. We designed this little cat with the
wow,
monocle and the hat, top hat, and stuff like that. And we wrote and produced Murder Mystery Nights. We sold out in advance. That's what my whole creative intelligence chapter in my book's about because that helped me discover something inside of me I didn't even know was there. Because I'd never
wow.
put myself down as obviously as a musician. I tried to learn the piano when I was younger, and I did it actually part of the comedy act. I brought the piano, the
Yeah.
keyboard out, dressed as a nun, changed all the words to the song. Because I really appreciate Weird Al Yankovic. Oh my goodness, if you haven't heard of
Oh,
him.
brilliant. He's brilliant.
I
Absolutely brilliant.
know. And he came to Belfast and I knew every
Just
song.
eat it.
I wouldn't know all the songs to Madonna and
Yeah,
whoever, but I knew all the words because I used to listen to him driving around doing my sales calls and selling
brilliant.
IT, selling websites. So him and a few other artists kept me up
Come
here
on.
somewhere. But no, no. So that's my
Look,
short insight
yeah,
into comedy because I realized it's like a tap. You can
yeah,
develop it, you can build it, you can turn the tap off and on because I would like get a what I would call a download and I think there's the joke, but I need a punchline. And then it would
right.
be, creativity never, sorry,
Mhm.
creativity never sticks to a schedule. It just comes and goes as it wants.
Yeah,
And at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up and I'm getting the punchline, but I don't have the rest of the joke. So this is how it worked. But I would try it
brilliant.
out. But then before that, I was waking up at 5 o'clock and stuff. Saying, before I start writing the book, it was like I just see the word type, and then it was
Yeah,
like I would type about something that happened in my life, and then those stories have now ended up in the book. So it was all working. So I think it's safe to say now we have some sort of little store built up before we come here. If you believe in the soul journey, something in there because there was things just came at me, and I thought, where on earth did that come
yeah,
from?
just coming from. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
But I
just
think
came.
if you're going out there with intention,
Yes,
I heard something recently about like if you're going out there with intention, this stuff will naturally come to you. You know what
yes,
I
you
mean? So
attract
it'll
it.
come to you
That was
from
another, yeah,
all different areas. So
yes,
if you're going on this journey, like okay, so you went go back to like even our podcast on from being stuck to sparked,
yes,
something
last
sparked
week,
off that ignition in you in order to go and pursue that, right? And you see the journey and you see the processes and you see the things that happen along
yeah,
the way, and then the things
yes,
that naturally come along the way as well because you put the intention out there, right?
yes,
So again, like talking about any sort of creativity, and you talked about the logo here. Ever since putting this together, there's been stuff that's just happened naturally and
mm-hmm.
with synchronicity and so many things. Like it's mind boggling.
I
It's
could,
absolutely mind boggling. Like
yeah,
I
I can
sat there
relate.
with somebody the other day, and I
Yeah.
was writing out something, and I wrote a circle. I love mind mapping, right? So I
Oh,
wrote a circle.
yes, I
Yeah, and
have the
that's we'll
software.
come to this, right?
Yeah, I think we talked about this before.
We
Mind
have to talk
mapping.
about this. So
Yeah.
I put his name in a circle, right? And then I mapped out from that, and I mapped out
Mm-hmm.
people that he might know. And the first person I put down he's a Nigerian guy, right? His name's Evans. And the
Mm-hmm.
first
Right.
person I put down was Tulu, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I wrote down a few other people, right?
Right.
And he goes to me, why did you write the name Tulu down? And I said, oh well, one of the people I work with, her name is Tulupe. And he goes,
Tulip.
my wife's name is Tulu. And I was like, what?
Okay,
And
you didn't
I
know
said,
that.
oh, I
Oh
wanted
wow.
you to do something with Tulalupe.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe why she came to me first. And out
Yes,
of all the names in the world that I could have picked, I picked that
exactly. Yeah.
name, and it was his wife's name. But there's so many things like that have happened lately. It's freaking me out.
Yes, yeah. Right. Pause
But
there. Pause there.
yep,
Sorry. I really need to fix this.
no.
This is it's a building. The sun has moved. It's the building across the way. It's the sun reflecting off the building. I've just realised that. Sorry.
We do the whole Jim Carrey rewind thing.
I
You don't know
know,
anything.
I know. I feel like a naughty child, but the sun has moved, and I was like, "Why did that move?" And I fixed it, so I forget the
Oh, that's
sun.
okay. It's all good.
Sorry.
That can either be a blooper or we can leave it in. Who knows? Let's
Exact.
see.
I feel a bit better because I just feel like oh, it was just annoying me. Sorry, and
No,
anyway.
you're right. You're right.
Tulupe,
Nothing wrong
sorry,
with it.
I like that name,
It's important.
Tulupe. You drinking my soup, Tulupe? Sorry, it's one of those
You're waiting to
mornings.
come at the end. It never ends with you.
I know. Just
It's
press the
good. It's
button
good.
off and on. Right,
Yeah.
right. Go ahead.
Like the switch.
Sorry, I'll try and
So,
sew this
so
together somehow.
I think we'll come back.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Um,
I was
no,
just doing my head in. I was just doing my head in. Sorry. Right.
no, you're right. You're right.
Right.
It
Okay.
actually
Go
gives
for
me
it.
an opportunity to get something out of my eye.
I know because I've got something that looks like it's a shadow.
Oh my God.
What happened? An eyelash, is it?
No, oh, that's all right.
I just realised what's causing the
I
shadow
think
there.
there's a piece of morning's dew.
I don't know. I looked like I had a right. Your eyes fixed. I
Okay,
had a line here as well. Anyway, I realised I need to
goodness.
take my lighting more seriously.
Okay, we'll come back.
Right.
We'll come back in
So
three,
his wife's
two,
name was Tulupi.
one. Yeah, it's Tulalupe. Um,
Tulupi.
yeah. But mind mapping, right? So I
Yes.
think mind mapping is a huge one for creativity, and I do it a lot actually. If I have an idea for something that I could be very passionate about, I write it
Mm,
down, and then from that you use branches. So some of you may have heard of it before, some of you may have never heard it before. So again, like sometimes when we do things, we take things for granted that
mm-hmm.
other people
Yes. True.
might not know about them at all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Oh, I've never
Yeah.
heard of mind mapping. So it's all about if you have an idea, you write down the idea in the center of a page, then you
Yes.
put a circle around it, and then from there you put stems or lines, and then you have the next idea from that idea, and who knows where it could take you, right? So say for the business here, I wrote down the business at the time, and then
Mm-hmm.
I mind map what coaches could be involved,
Yes.
what kind of stuff we could do, what seminars, what workshops, and all of a sudden you have this page full of all these ideas that have
Exactly.
come
Yeah.
through mind mapping and that creative flow.
Yes. And why that
Mm,
works so well is what I found because I actually discovered them thankfully at the age of 16. And that helped me
mm,
learn that I was a visual learner, but some of us are also audio learners where we need to hear something. Like we
yeah,
need to hear the instructions to understand them, and then we need to be like, writing them down. So I'm a bit of a kinesthetic. So if I'm involved physically in the learning, like if you're, because we both did martial arts, so that's a form of kinesthetic because you're practicing the stances and the moves, and so that's kinesthetic. You're involved, the whole body's involved. Whereas mind
yes,
mapping is a visual learner. So I needed to see stuff. Like if you give me directions to get to, like I drive in my Google Maps, voice switched off,
mm,
and people are like, "What?" I says, "No, I can't listen to her or him or whoever's on it. Um, I need to see it. So if I can see approach a roundabout and we go off at 2 o'clock, my dad taught me to drive through roundabout. Like the roundabout's a clock face, so you're approaching at
yeah,
6 o'clock. So you're coming off at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, whatever. So but I can see it and I can get you to wherever as long as I can see it. If you start to describe, go down the road, take right, da da da. I need a landmark, I need a visual, I need a second right. So I see the two and I picture it in my head. But if you don't give me that picture to build up my head, then I'm lost. You might as well be just talking, double
gibberish.
Dutch,
Yeah,
gibberish. I don't understand. They're like, and I discovered this a couple of times with friends. We were out in the boat one day and he was saying, how to climb down in. They were all jumping in, and I was like, I'm not a confident swimmer yet. I only learned to swim late in life. And he was saying, put your foot here, or no, put your. He just gave me the instructions with words. I put your foot there, da da da.
yeah,
And I says, right, so I explained the process. And we laughed about it after because it's like, okay, so put your foot here, then you put your foot on the top step, then so because I could see where my feet were being placed, I could climb down in. No problem getting back up.
Mm.
But we have no bathroom on the boat. You know, it was just a little boat that you go out for the day on. I was like, I really need to get in the water. And that's where that came about. But no, it's important because if you know how you work and how you
Yeah,
tick, then obviously then you can explain it. You know, to me that was, this guy has his own recruitment consultancy. So he's used to, dealing with people and obviously telling them what to do and things like that. And I just said to him, no, this is how I operate. I was giving him a bit of a mini manual. Just tell me, just give me pictures and I'm okay. If you don't give me the pictures,
yeah.
I'm kind of lost. I'm just going to be in the darkness. Um, and that's, I suppose, what mind mapping, but your brain works naturally in those associations. So if
Mm.
you have, let's see, if you're, yeah, so yeah, let's go back to the comedy actually, because one of the things I learned with the Tony Buzan book is
Oh,
memory.
brilliant book.
Memory, it's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I got three of them at the time. I got the first one. I had to go and get the ones he had. But he talked about memory hooks and things that associate. So we all know like a pack of cards. So if you've
mm.
50 things that you need to remember, you pick out the card pack and you go, whether it's hearts, diamonds, clubs, and what was it, clubs and what's the other black? Oh, spades.
Right.
So there's 52 memory hooks, and then you put whatever it is you need on that. And I was doing the comedy. If I was doing my 15 minutes, I would pick, where I lived when I was first married, because there was about 15, 16 houses. Where my mum lived, there was over 20 houses. So when I had to do a longer set, like up to an hour, I would put things in the front gardens and I'd go round. And it's like, so somebody would heckle you, and then you're straight back on. It's like, which house to get to? Well, I knew them all by name, most of them.
Yeah.
So I'd say, I got to the Bennetts. All right, okay, yes. So did I finish that one? Yes, I did. Right, straight on to the next door, and go to their garden. What did I put in their front garden? Oh, I put a dog. Oh, that's a dog. That's a joke about the dogs and the I did this joke about sex addicts anonymous with dogs attending it. Anyway, so I knew then straight away that was. See, I can still remember it. Oh, Stuart, this is definitely unfiltered. Oh, it depended on the crowd. When you went to the student, the colleges and universities, or those sort of like students' unions,
Yeah.
you had to have those sort of jokes. And then
You
when you
could have
go
done one
to
for Rabbit.
Robin, sorry, yeah. But you had to deal with the hecklers as well. So,
Mm.
but again, I see association would help because somebody fires something out of you. Like
Yeah.
my first ever set, and it was a friend, and she thought you go to comedy nights to actually heckle them. Like she said, that's what you're
Okay.
supposed to do, aren't you? And I says, well, not really, but a good comedian will take it and run with it. So because she
Yes.
threw something at me
Yeah.
about a sofa, or did she say to me? No, it was. She says she just shouted out, "It's not." What did she say to me? It's not a sofa. It was a rug because I was talking about something, and I had to literally come to a blank wall. I was just like, but that's where I learned don't have a drink or like most comedians are on stage with a beer. I was the
Yeah.
opposite. It totally blocked me. And from the first set that I did, it was like I just had a low alcohol beer, just thinking I needed steadied. It actually blocked me. I just came to this blank wall, and I was like, right, no, what's happened? And then she shouted out about the rug, and I thought, I know a joke about a rug. I'll twist it to, I'll, make that work and finish that way.
Right.
And I finished on a high, thankfully. And she said to me, she said, did you like my heckling? And I says, you saved my bacon. I says, I
Yeah.
did not know where I was going with that sofa. I don't know why I took a blank. Um, but yeah, I was able to take it. But to me, it was a lesson because after that, I didn't have touch anything. I didn't have
Wow.
wine. I didn't have, even if I was going for dinner, no alcohol. I just thought,
Wow.
no,
Yeah.
keep it because it literally, maybe say, you have a few drinks. Oh, it was blocked last night. It was blocking me. And it was
Yeah.
good, because then it's, once you start rejecting something like that, then it carries on. So it's
Okay.
really helped me cut down and drinking in general. For an Irish person, I'm a bit of a letdown. Two drinks max
You
with
and me
food.
both. You and me
Well,
both.
yes, I think it's a part of the spiritual thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it might be some of the Chinese genes in me as well, or whatever. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right
so
now.
you
Yeah.
mentioned actually, and I just want to ask this was it's on my mind. You mentioned
Yes.
about blocks.
Yes, go
So
for it.
your block, how would you deal with a creative block?
I
So,
love
so
that question. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, so give me an example. Do you want me to work on a live, like a one
So
you've had?
one I've had, wow. um,
Because I haven't
Throwing it back
personally. It's
at
what?
me. You're throwing it back at me. How'd you like that?
I'm
That's true
heckling
to
you.
say, true to say.
No,
So,
it's better to work with something like give me some clay to work with because we're obviously coaches. So
compare to work with, right? So, say for example, when you were writing your book, right?
yes.
Were there times where you had a creative block? Were there times where you kind of went, "Oh, sugar, what do I write about now?" Or even if it just lasts an hour, or half an hour, or did it last a week? Was there something that kind of stopped you dead in your tracks? And then how did you get past that?
Okay, so you're not going to believe me. I did not have any creative blocks, but I'll tell you why.
Wow, 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 wow.
Okay.
Okay,
No, I'm
yeah,
delighted because you obviously wouldn't have known this, so we didn't even get a chance to talk about this. And somebody else has mentioned this technique, and I thought, oh wow! So I actually went ahead, I brought around it. Sorry, is what I'm trying to say. There's so much coming into my brain now because we've turned the tap on. It's like woohoo, full permission.
hmm
Um, so what I did was I did an outline summary. I wrote it down. Right, here's what I want the topics and what I felt. So that was a meditative. So there's the first key is meditation. Definitely
wow,
helped in terms of developing the muscles. Because don't forget, the whole journey itself took 6 years. Um,
yes,
so stand up taught me to keep the and all the comedy events that we produced to keep that. Yes, when I sat down and did say a script in one night, it didn't need much changing. If I did the script over the course of a week or 2 weeks, sometimes I was under pressure to write them. So you're just doing a bit here, a bit there, and there was times where I just had to put the computer away, put the pen down, and say I'll come back to that. But when we did do that, it got changed the most in our rehearsals. So you need about 6 weeks to rehearse a murder. Well, yeah, 6 weeks. Say just rehearse it. Everybody, it becomes obviously repetitive learning, should I say?
yeah,
Um, and I allowed people the freedom of improv. I said, interact with the audience, go with the jokes, but I used comedy actors or people who were
okay,
performing comedy themselves, so they knew how to take a heckle or and go with it because I knew,
yeah,
and that's what actually made. I think it was the magic of the night or part of the magic of the night. Was people being interact and feeling part of the show and the act and things like that, and people staying in character, so they could relate to this persona. You could talk to them knowing that person's going to go home a different person. Anything they say doesn't stick with them, or it's going to be insulting. They're insulting the character. So I think that's where the barrier was. Um, for the actual book, just describe that because I'm sure there's other people out there be interested in this. I'm trying to think who the other person that described it. I'll find the details. There's somebody out there mentioned this as well. So what I did was wrote it down on paper, an outline of what I was doing. I wanted to
yeah,
talk about in each chapter. So I soon came to realization it was create. It's all the intelligence systems that we have starting off, and that need awakened. So it's our creative one, our spiritual, our emotional intelligence, which we already know about. It's all in the corporate world, isn't it? Thanks to Daniel
yeah,
Goleman, he's on my shelf here. He brought emotional intelligence in, which is obviously very important. It's energy and motion. That's something we all need to be aware of for ourselves and other people. Physical intelligence, the physical body, how does that operate? And I learned that through running, training and running for a marathon. It was a 3 year process, but the actual training for the marathon was only 9 months because you need about
okay,
500 miles in your legs before you can do it. So there's all this preparation. So kind of I was doing the same. I was building up the stories. And then when it came to the actual thing, and I've got the timestamps on my recordings to show you, I recorded the whole book in 1 week.
wow,
So when I looked at the timestamps recently there, so they put screenshots on when I advertised the book, and I put screenshots to show it was all in a week of February. I did 2 or 3 chapters in one night because the energy was flowing. And me being me, I was just able to talk and talk and talk. But then I edited, so it was the editing was the work because there was a lot of fluff. And a lot of it, there's just like,
okay,
okay. But then I was able to take wee bits out and use it for something else, because we're always creating content and stuff like that, aren't we? No matter what we're doing in our
yeah,
life, especially for teaching. But maybe it'll come back again. I haven't thrown it out. I've kept the originals the same way I'm keeping the originals of our videos because at some point they'll be, oh, we need that, or we talked about that, but we didn't know why it was useful. But no, I recorded the book in the week, and then it was going through getting it transcribed, and we didn't have AI. But even I did put it through AI, and AI cut way too much out of it, and I wasn't happy about that. So that's where my work was. And then I said, I need a more. If you don't have something in your life, create a system for it. Put it out there to the universe like my wee bat signal. And a friend who is now retired but was a qualified proofreader, right? Like of all the people that I would know. And he contacted me and said, how's things, how you getting on? I says, oh, I'm editing this book. Well, if you need a proofreader, that's actually a qualification I have. I'll give you the, and he did because he helped me correct the proper English. I was writing it obviously as I speak and what I would try and formally do. Um, or try and formally say, there's written English and there's you know spoken English. So he helped me correct the grammar, things like that. Made some points. There was things he didn't understand, and was one of them was I'd said in the book something about I just had to learn to get over myself. Isn't that what's or I no, I was standing in my way. I had to get out of my own way. That's what I have to get out of my own way. He didn't understand
You,
that.
you, said- you said
Mm,
this in the book. You said
yeah,
this in the book.
I have
And,
something.
and so what did you mean? What did you mean by that? What you like? You have to get out of your own way,
So basically, I was holding myself back. My thoughts, my head, my mindset was holding me back. But he didn't
right?
understand that. It just wasn't a phrase that had ever come into his brain, in
And
his radar.
and and held you back from what? Sorry, just to develop that a bit more.
So what, sorry?
So and held you back from what? What like
Oh, held me
so?
back. I'm
You
trying
know,
to. I can't remember which chapter it was in, but I can find out. But he just didn't understand the phrase, and he was picking it up as something I needed to take out. And I said, "No, I know I need to keep that in." And lucky enough,
yeah,
again, the universe working its magic. A friend of mine walked in, a colleague who's also a coach. She walked in, and I said to her, "Okay, I'm going to test this out, okay, to see if another coach understands this." And I said to her, she just happened to be walking by. So she was going for an afternoon walk and spotted us and came over to the table. And she said to me, I said, "Did you understand the phrase to get out of your own way?" And she's looking at me like, "Why are you asking me this?" And she says, "Yes, I do." And I says, "Explain to my friend here what it means." And she says, "Well, it just means you're holding yourself back. You're not moving forward. You're making excuses." She embellished it a little bit. And he says, "Okay." And he looked at both of us and he says, "Okay." He says, "I like it." He says, I've learned something today." And I says, "Yeah, that's what it's about." But it was
yeah.
just the one thing I had to be adamant on. My feeling was, no, that's something that's real in my world. And just because it's not real in your world, or maybe he's never held himself back, you
Mm.
know,
Well, no,
you
I think it's
know,
real. Yeah, I think it's real in a lot of people's
I think
worlds,
it's a human
because
thing. I think we
it's
do
a
hold
human
ourselves back
thing,
the
right?
most.
And the reason I
Yeah.
asked was because, when you talk about creativity, right, we want to talk about flow. We want to talk about,
Mm.
like, having that creative flow, but sometimes things do stand in your way, and even yourself can
Yes.
stand in your own way. Either you don't have the belief in what you're doing, or you don't
Yes.
have, the skill set, or you don't
Yeah.
know the direction. And, for me, okay, yeah, belief is a huge one, right? Belief and
Mm-hmm.
creativity are huge. They go hand in hand. So you
Yes.
need to have that belief in where you're going, and belief
Mm-hmm.
in, okay, you pick up the guitar, and you strum away, and
Mm-hmm.
then a few days later you put it down and you go, oh, maybe the guitar doesn't work. Of course the guitar works. It's just you that
Mine
haven't
doesn't
worked.
work.
So you- so
Yeah.
you know
It
it's
never
like,
makes a
or
noise. Yeah.
anything, right?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to give something a chance and get out of your own way,
Exactly.
because
Yes.
this can hold it back. And whether it's a creative flair, whether it's writing a book, whether it's being a comedian, whether it's being a
Mm-hmm.
guitarist, whether it's being a professional, any job that's out there, you need to get out of your own way sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I understand that, like, but when we say get out of your own way, we mean like your mind, your belief
Yes.
system,
Yes.
this is what kind of would put you at a full stop, and say, listen, the voices creep in. Oh, I can't do this,
The
and I can't do that.
negativity. Yeah.
That will never work, and blah blah blah. But
Yes.
you need to reverse that and
Mm-hmm.
figure out, okay, I think I mentioned in previous calls that
Yes.
if you change all the negative talk to positive talk, and have the exact opposite of what you're saying to yourself. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't do it. What if you can do it?
Yes.
Or,
That's a
oh,
good
that won't work.
technique.
Oh,
Yeah.
it will work.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you have to, these are the things that will put a full stop to creativity. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that writing a book or picking up the guitar or doing mixed martial arts or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the profession is, whatever
Yes.
the creativity is, whatever your journey is, get out of your own way and stop getting in your way of moving forwards. You
Mm-hmm.
put your attention out there, you go out there with full gusto and you just say, okay, listen, I'm going to give this the best shot of my life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're passionate about something, that you could still be writing that book, right? If you got in your own way.
Oh God,
You, we
yeah. Yeah.
we could still be thinking about this podcast if we got in our
Yes.
own way,
I was just like,
right?
right, we're starting
Oh,
next week.
yeah, right, yeah,
And
right.
Stuart,
Well,
thankfully, thank God, was like, yeah, okay, sounds good to me. Yeah.
okay,
But you've been thinking
yeah,
about it, so the synchronicity. I've been thinking about
yeah,
a
yeah,
podcast for a while, to be honest, I know,
yeah. And
confession,
like
but
I've been thinking about it for a while. You've been thinking for a while. Maybe something
yeah,
was stopping us even as
the book.
like
It was
the
the book.
book, right?
The
And
book
then
started
my
off
other,
our
yeah, um,
getting back in touch again. Yeah, that's what it
exactly. And then
was.
my other projects as well. Like maybe I
Yes.
was getting off my own way of this. So
Uh-huh.
then when you mentioned it, I was like, oh my, this is perfect. This
Yeah,
is
I know. It
perfect
was so
because
funny.
it's perfectly aligned with where we're going.
Yeah,
So yeah, happy days.
I know. So, no, what you were saying there about the getting out of your own way. It's also knowing yourself, and I think that's what we're about. The inner mind, getting in
Yeah.
there and figuring out. If I didn't know I was a visual learner, it's thankfully from a younger
Mind
age.
code.
Mm?
Inner mind code. That's
Inner
it.
mind code, yes. Well, that's what we now. I actually get out of my head. I was actually thinking there. This is how you and I are going to write the inner mind code book.
Wow. Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
because we can both be involved in the recording process and
Mm.
then audio type and things like that. It's yeah, the process will work. So we'll have it
You,
done in
you've
a
got
week.
you've got to get out of my head. You know what? This morning I was thinking, I know all these people have wrote books. I have so many notes on books.
Mm-hmm.
I say in Google Docs. I have all these books there ready to go,
Well, then it's
and
your
I'm
book.
just waiting to write a book. And
Yeah.
huh?
No, I think this
That's
is a
what
joint one. And I was going to say,
this
well,
is
once you
joint.
do, well, let's take everybody. If anybody else wants to write a book and wants to go on this process of audio recording it, planning it, using the meditation techniques. There's obviously more I didn't get into there because we don't have time. We've got an hour, which seems like loads of time, but now I'm looking at the clock going, actually, we've only another 10 minutes. Believe
No,
it or not.
what? Is it only 10 minutes?
We've only got 10 minutes left, yeah, and then we've
Have
we've
we?
hit the hour, yeah, more or less, haven't we?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
unless you want to go over time in this one, I don't mind. But like, we'll see.
Well, no, see, because you're on the clock this week. Last time I was on
Yeah.
the clock, so
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so the creative process and putting the book together. Yes, we've got AI, but I used AI to fine tune it.
Yes.
Like my illustrator of the book, she saw it and she says, "Oh, I can see it's been like polished up a little bit and enhanced." And she liked it. She says it looks brighter. She says I like the colors, and I says yes. I just tried it. But by changing that, it changed the text, and I just like the overall feel, and that's the one thing most people have commented on. So she was happy enough. She said to me, and I says, "But I want you to do the second one." And I started to talk to her about the colors of the dragon and for that. But
Wow.
if anybody, yeah, let us know in the comments or message us through the social media that you've been watching this on, and let us know if you're interested. And I'll take you through the process. You can either come through the process with us in terms
Yeah.
of we'll put together our book live, at times. We obviously don't want to give it
Wow.
away, but we'll
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about, I think there'll be maybe a separate podcast. I don't know, but I'm just going with the flow
Well,
here. Someone saying to me,
yeah.
do that and
Vic,
bring people
do you
with
know what
you.
I've been thinking? I know a lot of people have written books, right? Of
Yes.
late, and I was thinking of doing maybe a workshop where we get a lot of the book writers and authors together,
Mm-hmm.
and we all come together, and then we share the secrets of how they got the books out there. So,
Yes.
each person maybe takes a 15-20 minute segment or something like that. And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
and I was going to work on doing a live one as well, because a lot of the authors I know are based here in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if you could fly over, that would be amazing at some
Yeah, no, I
stage.
could.
Maybe we
Yeah,
could
I've
do
got
something during the
passport.
summer. Yeah,
Willing
yeah,
to fly. I've got an Irish passport. Though.
yeah.
You should let
Or
me
maybe
back in.
after. So, what about if we worked maybe on a live workshop after the summer? Because I'm thinking summer is a time where a lot of people are away and stuff like that. Sometimes workshops lose a bit of momentum and stuff like that. So then, directly after the summer, it's coming into the autumn, and I think it's a great time for people to write and create and I think that writing flourishes during those times, I believe.
Um,
Uh, yeah, sorry, go on.
okay, some send me no. This is our creative process kicking in.
Okay.
It's too long to wait. We've put the seed, we've planted the seed. People have been stuck, and we talked last time about being stuck. And no, 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 don't
Don't
self
joke.
punish. Don't. I used to do self punish. Do not do that. I just wrote down
It's
express.
conditioning. It's conditioning, Marshall. It's conditioning.
Well, yeah,
Not
that's a
self.
good old Irish discipline. No, I just wrote down if anybody has something they want to express to the world. I wrote down the word express. That was my memory hook. Um, you can't stop the momentum. So now that we've put this out there, we've planted the seeds. We can't walk away
Yeah.
from it.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll encourage people to come forward. If you want to go through the course with us, we can be there
Yeah.
to support you. If you want to do it by yourself, we can do the self study or you self paced. I think it's called
Great.
in the
Great.
coaching world. The American coaching world, they use different words from us. I still try to call it English. I'm only joking. It's what you call him. I have to give a big shout out to. In terms of creativity, you must know him, Garen Noon,
What
the
is
guy
that?
with the
Yeah,
beard.
I
He
think so.
says,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Follow me, I'm delicious."
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody knows
Yeah.
his hook.
Yeah.
He's fantastic, and he really likes ripping the tripe out of Americans, and then he gets a lot of fleck from them, and then he uses that to, but he does it in such a lovable way. You couldn't be angry at him. He says, "I'm
Yeah.
Irish. I'm
I,
affronted how you Americans make your cup of tea," and he shows some pretty grim
I I think
videos.
he got a gold membership card for Supermax or something there the other day, and he was
He
showing it off.
probably did, and then
It was brilliant.
he's a fantastic musician. So not only is he a comedian, and
Yeah.
I have to say, with Weird Al and people like that, they're my favorite type of comedians. The musical, like Paddy
Nice.
Raff. He's a Belfast one, and he plays the guitar and rewrites words and songs, and
Love it. Love it.
just I love
And
that creativity. Yeah,
Billy Connolly used to do a bit of that as well with the banjo,
yes,
didn't he? Yeah, I
he
loved it. Yeah.
he came to Ireland on my birthday one year, so it was like birthday present sorted.
Was that only a few years ago? It was in the arena up in Belfast, and I went to it. It was one of his shows, but you could see that he deteriorated quite a bit. And,
Well, this was in my 20s, so
um,
yes, it was a few years ago.
oh,
Thanks, Stuart.
you're welcome. Anytime.
Yes, Slane Castle. Back in the day, Slane
Ah,
Castle.
Snake Castle.
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
that's how old I am. He came to Slane
yeah.
Castle.
So
Don't think anybody
just to
goes
bring us back, just,
Slane.
just to bring us back to okay. So we're talking about creativity. We talked about the
Yes,
mind map, and we talked about like what could stop us.
yes, the blocks, the
And
potential
we're
blocks.
talking about doing the workshops for the books. So is there anything else we need to add? I'd love to add maybe just writing, right? And
Yes,
this
that's
is
important.
huge,
That's the
right?
word
Because
express. Sorry to interrupt.
express,
I've
right?
written down the word
And coming,
express. Think about what it
yeah,
is you want to express to the world. That's another key point. 'Cause I didn't know I had a
exactly.
message in me until I got to know myself better. Then I realized I'm helping people with their inner mind, their mindset, the things I've always been interested in, but hadn't put a
Yes,
label and things like that. So what is your message to the world? What do you want to express? I think, okay, I'm gonna write this down. Step one is finding that out. Okay, where's your life been a mess? There's a fantastic phrase I heard years ago. The message is in the mess. So where do you think you failed in
yeah,
life? Where do you think you let yourself or others down? I think that's the first step because that's what I had
yeah,
to go through. I had to go through the cock ups, and then realize actually no, there was a massive learning in that.
yeah.
So if that's again if this is triggering you or this is pulling you, let us
Mm,
know, and we'll talk to you further about that because that could be just the one thing that when
yeah,
somebody needs and then they're off on their own, they don't
true.
need us anymore. So that's great.
Sorry, I really
I
like. I
know
just
you're flowing now. Go go go.
yeah, with mess, right? With
Yes,
mess and trauma and pain, use that as
yes,
their gift sometimes. You know what I mean? Because
exactly. Yeah.
like people can relate to that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so so if I'm reading something about trauma, I'm reading something about somebody's pain, and somebody's sharing that with the world, and I came across an amazing, phenomenal woman recently, right?
Yeah.
She's wrote a book. She's turned her traumas into a spy thriller,
Oh
and
wow.
and
Yeah.
it's phenomenal, right? And she
Mm-hmm.
has gone through some serious hurt in this world, and there's
Yeah.
some people that have tried to mess her up and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
she's turned all those
It
experiences
sounds
into
amazing.
this
Yeah.
spy novel, which is
Yes.
which is
Fantastic.
phenomenal. So
Yeah.
she's talking about her traumas in the book as a
Yes.
way of
Yes.
dealing with those traumas, and
Yeah.
also turning that hurt into this story, like a
Mm-hmm.
James Bond type story, but for women,
Fantastic.
so
Yeah,
it's phenomenal. It really is.
fantastic. No, that makes
So,
sense. Yeah. No, so I just wanted to show where creative writing is a fantastic tool for, different types of mindsets and conditions that we have. I had a friend who had a son diagnosed at a very early age with Asperger's. I can't even say the word, sorry. I'm pretty sure it's ASP. Yeah,
mm,
Asperger's. Which is, it's on the spectrum basically in that sense. But they're the people with a lot of creativity, because they don't
yeah,
have those filters, and society categorizes them. Oh, you say this, you talk about that, we have to put you in a box because the
yes.
filter isn't there for society, but the filter's there
Um,
for the creativity,
it's
one
unfortunate. It's
aspect of their life.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Um,
I'm actually helping a guy who has it as well, and he suffers big time because he does have a lot of creative flow. He does have a lot of
there you go. Yeah.
ideas. He's a conceptualist as well,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yes.
world sees him in the wrong way, and
Yeah.
he tries to help people. He tries to give people ideas and stuff like that. And I've said to him, listen, people have to want those ideas. He kind of
Yes.
forces the ideas upon people, but that's
Uh-huh.
because he doesn't have that filter.
Yeah.
Then people take it the wrong way and they kind of back off and they kind of keep it an arm's length, and
Yeah.
so, he has ADHD as well. He has a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like, and I want to help push him forwards. I want to say, okay,
Yes.
listen,
Yeah.
you're a guy that has all this stuff. He's also a great connector. He connects people.
Brings, yeah.
He brings people together, but
Fantastic.
he doesn't get paid for it. He doesn't get rewarded
No.
for it. So in the future, I want to be able to help this guy out and help pay him or something,
Yeah.
because I think that he has a lot of skill there. He's just misunderstood. So
Yes.
I'm putting a band of misfits together in the background,
Yes, in a good way.
so that.
Yeah.
But no, no, when I say misfits, I hope nobody gets that wrong, right? But seen as misfits in
Yes,
society,
I knew
right?
what you meant, yeah.
Because they're
They're
because
labeled
they're
the wrong way.
misunderstood,
Yes, it's not right.
misunderstood, and they don't fit. So that
No.
misunderstood and not fitting. So that they are kind of misfits in society.
Yeah.
So for me, they have creative skills, they have creative abilities,
Mm-hmm.
but they're just not understood. So I
Yeah.
want to put them together and create something with them to help the world understand them more and to help the world understand that yes, people who have these things going on can do
Mm-hmm.
things as well. They have creativity as well, and that's creativity that shouldn't be shunned. It's creativity that should
It's
be
not
harnessed
being,
and
yes,
put forwards.
it's not being recognized, not being developed. And that's what I
No,
realized with his son when I got to know him a bit better. I actually said to him, creative writing, I think will do wonders. It was just something that was in my brain to
yeah,
keep saying to him. So he did. And he was the type of guy, because he was on medication, the class would finish. It was a night class that he was doing. And the class would finish, and they'd all go to the nearest bar, for a wee bit of a, get together. And he would never go because he's on medication, doesn't mix with alcohol. And then there was one night, he didn't come back home straight away,
yeah,
and the last train came in and he wasn't on it, and his father was really worried. He was like, I don't know what's going on. He's phoning him, and he says, "Oh yeah, sorry, I meant to ring you and tell you I wasn't getting. I'm getting a lift home." He says he started to go out with the class afterwards because of the writing,
wow,
and it was bringing him out of himself. And
brilliant,
he said,
brilliant.
"Yeah," and he came to me because his father said to me, "He says you went through a miscarriage. Could you share some of the women's perspective for him because it's a part of his novel that he's put together at the moment?" And I says, yeah, absolutely, because I was thinking, fantastic. I can share something real for a story, and it makes his story more authentic. So I went through it with him. He took notes. He wrote it up. He got me to read that part of it, that chapter, and I was like, yeah, that's fantastic. And I said the words to him. that as somebody who went through it, that's exactly you know yeah, I could relate to that as somebody who went through it, and his
Yeah,
face dropped because it's his
wow,
filters of emotions, and he's like, "Oh, if I known you'd gone through it, I never would have asked you."
yeah,
And I says, "No, no, that's the whole point. I went through it, and now I'm able to help you, and I've been able to help other women with it, and then that's led me to understanding that I had PCOS, and I've been able to help other people with that." So he says everything's he did. It wasn't at the time, but I was trying to relate to him. No, it's fantastic because now you'll be able to help other women through your writing. I'm able to help as one person, but you've now expanded that through your writing to help women who may be reading your story and reading your book, or
Yeah,
men who've been through it with their partners and don't understand it from a woman's perspective. So there's a
yeah,
nice like win-win-win here for a lot of people.
true,
Just from
true.
you having that, again, was it inspiration, insight? You thought you wanted to put this into your story. You knew me enough, to ask me to help you with it, and look what we've created. We've actually created something. The creativity is there.
Yeah,
Um, you know, look how it's helping so many people just by me experiencing and you writing about it, and then obviously me coaching and talking to women on a regular basis anyway.
brilliant.
We're creating. The other thing, and maybe this is where we should end up, or finish up in the high, but I want to take it as a serious note because I know you work with a lot of men's groups.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is important for men to know this because it's somebody come to me one time for a Reiki session, and it wasn't. What would you say? I'm trying to put this professionally. He wasn't. If somebody comes like to a masseuse and he wants the extras at the end. Okay.
Ah,
He came to a Reiki session expecting this to be like a form massage, and he says, "No, I don't even touch you. Well, I have to be naked." And I was like, "No." Um, Thankfully, I worked from a center at the time.
good.
He says, "I have to be naked. I'm a naturalist or naturalist," and I thought to myself, no, you're not. You're just
Okay.
fill in the blank. My word rhymes with yeah. I was gonna say banker, but that's the insult to bankers. Mm. But I say actually, I'm using that word because it was. It turns out he had to have himself relieved. I don't know how many times a day. I can't remember, 4 or 5. It was unreal. And I says, so I went at it in a professional way. I said to him, "Well, how does your wife cope with this?" I knew he was married when he came in, and he says, "Oh, my wife, yeah, she's worn out some days. She helps me other days, da da da." But he was expecting me at the end of the Reiki session because obviously things had kicked into action for him, and I was like, "Well, there's my bathroom, and you can use that. It's a public bathroom, so be
Off you
mindful of
go.
that. Or you can go home and have your wife." And he was like, "No, I want you to do it." And I says, "No." I says, I was a professional. I'm saying no. But I says, I'm going to educate because I always think if you can't help somebody, educate them. So what's happening
Yeah,
here? I says, you don't have any creative outlet in your life. I says, I know that straight off. And he says, how do you know? And I says, do you write, play music, do you tell jokes? Do you create anything in your life, like products, services for your business?
yeah, yeah.
No, you have no creativity. So I says, as a man, all your energy is flowing, all the testosterone, everything is all going straight to your root chakra. And it's overload. He was making this all about I'm macho, da da da, and I was like, no, you're
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
You've no balance. You're not macho. You're not whatever. You're in your head. You're justifying it. He's in his own way. Classic example of being in his own way. So he said, start to find a creative flow. He probably never will. That's okay. I did my bit talking to him about it, but then when you look at people who have that flow, that creative, they're creating something in their life. Creative people probably make the best partners and stuff like that because they've got the balance.
yeah,
They
yeah.
they don't need to be all, as your guy said, he thought he made a macho. But no, if he
Mm,
found the balance, then the energy can go two ways. Creativity and our sexuality, our masculine energy and our feminine energy is all intertwined.
yes, and it's huge. It's huge, because
It is, yes.
um, is it Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? I think mentions it
Yes,
that
yeah. Oh, yeah, it's okay.
sexual transmutation. I think it's called,
Mm-hmm.
where you put that sexual energy into something like, so if you
Oh,
if you have an abundance of that sexual energy,
that's maybe
and
where this,
if you
yes.
put it into something,
Uh-huh.
as in something that's creative, something that's a skill set, something that's something
Yes.
that you're being active, or
Yes.
it can have huge effect on your life in terms
Mm-hmm.
of where you
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah.
And I think especially well, men and women, because
Mm-hmm. That's what I was
women
gonna say,
have a
yeah.
lot of sexual energy as well, right?
Because it's a
So
masculine and feminine energy, yeah.
yeah,
And the
and
masculine
it's
feminine
putting that.
energy, sorry, go ahead. We're both
No,
getting passionate.
yeah, no, yeah, it's putting that into something, So
Yes,
like,
sir.
as you say, and if you're not, then somebody like that could come along and go, oh, I need a release and I need her like 5 times a day and this, that, and the other.
It was
Or,
hilarious. Yeah.
or if they're in, if they're in a certain industry, maybe that's their industry, you know what I mean? But for me, if you're using that energy and you're putting that flow into other things, then that's when
Exactly.
you'll see things improve. You'll see things getting better going
Uh-huh.
forwards. So a great book. I
Think
believe
and
it's
Grow
Think and Grow
Rich.
Rich. Yeah,
I think you're
Napoleon
right because
Hill.
I read it years ago and I probably need maybe there's a reminder to go back to it. But I did remember reading something like that where, and then I was obviously learned it through the um through meditation and stuff because the I talked to more women about this than men obviously, but the power of an orgasm in terms of clearing the blocks, healing as well. We're
Yeah.
taught to stay away from it. A lot of religious stuff is about you don't
Oh,
don't stay away from
don't
yourself,
enjoy yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But it can help clear a lot of things. It's not a sin in that sense. Um, but I'm trying to think of something. Yeah, there was a girl, bless her, she's passed away now, but my goodness, what a person, money manifestation and the flow that she had in her life. But she was stuck one week and she says, I don't know what's going on. And it turned out something she needed to clear from a, emotional point of view. She cleared it. And I says, just be careful this week because if you feel the urge, just go with it. Just trust it and go with it. And please, trust me on that. Because I knew obviously it was all related to her femininity, let's say. And I think I saw her face to face. I think by the Thursday, whether it was video chat or real, I can't remember. But she was glowing, absolutely glowing.
Wow.
And I said to her, how's it going? I don't know what you've done to me. She says it's good. She says, don't get me wrong, I feel better. I know you've done good. But she says, she says, and I says, well, tell me, how's sales this week? She says, as the week's not even over and I've done double of my best so far.
Wow.
It's just like, and we're both laughing like this, going, isn't that amazing? And she says, oh my God. She says, my poor husband doesn't know what's going on. But as it turned out, the husband had blocks, similar blocks, actually, because people get attracted because of the same blocks. He had something that went back to the time when he was in the Navy, a
Wow.
masculine issue, and the two of them had to go through it all again with him. So her sales went through. That's not that's not why she passed away, by the way. Just to confirm that. Sorry. She be she's a fantastic woman. The sense of humor and the laughs I had with her. And the
Brilliant.
cries. We were doing a presentation together and we literally like this and then get in, they're like, hey, da, 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 da. But we had to release something to get out of her own way.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was
Of
just
course.
fantastic woman. Really wanna again somebody who's a short, sharp, intense, positive influence in my life. She kind of took like a big sister role in my life at the time when I
Probably
met her.
still here.
Yeah,
You
so it's nice to sometimes get wee reminders that she's still about. I see
Yeah.
something think, ah. And funny, everybody called me her name before I actually met her, and then it all stopped. People kept saying to me, um, kept calling me, and I said, I don't know where I got that name from. And then when I eventually met her, I was like, you're the reason people keep calling me that. And she says, oh right, is that the thing? And I says, yeah, I think it's. But she was very spiritual. She did understand a lot of spiritual things without realizing it was something spiritual. She just thought it was a tool that she was using in her life.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but there you
So,
go. So,
so just maybe a quick summary then of what we,
yes, I was going to say the
so,
same. Yes,
um,
end on a high note.
yeah,
Um,
so obviously the intention, right, was like
yes,
put the intention out there, and you'll find things will flow. The
yes.
mind mapping is a huge one. So
Uh-huh,
mind mapping, then
hugely, yeah, definitely.
and the funny thing about mind mapping is when you delve deep and you're coming to the outer circles, you can actually take that one and put it on another page and then
Yes,
do a whole new one,
there's a
right? So
software. There is
yeah,
software for it as well. Mind Node, X
oh
Mind.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and even app. I think there's a few apps for it. Yeah,
But you get
um,
A3. I would get big things of A3 paper and this mind map it and stick it around the
yeah,
walls and have a look at it and then
yeah,
put it onto the computer. So, because I
true.
think creativity flows better, and I'll say this for writers that probably notice that there's something about the head. I'm right-handed, so it comes from my brain to my right hand writing things. But sometimes
Yeah,
it comes so fast, and that's why I recorded the book because I knew
Nice.
at point I had developed my muscles in terms of I used to write a question and then meditate on it, let
Cool.
it come to me. Then it got too fast. I couldn't keep up
Okay.
my I just couldn't write fast enough, so I started to record. So I have about 400 recordings, if not more.
Wow.
Um, Going
No
through my
wonder
own
your
blocks.
computer's melting down.
I know. I'm just too much.
And,
I just overload for everything. No,
yeah,
no.
so then dealing with blockages and then how to deal with blockages, and then
Yes.
as you say, writing or recording. So writing, I think people need to come back to
Yes,
that
speak it
skill.
out. If you can't write anything, speak it out.
Yeah,
Or speak it out with a
speak it out.
friend. Get
Yeah,
your wee circle of muses or support and talk
but
it out.
try
And
and write it out because it helps with the intention. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
so because I think a lot of people now they
Yeah.
take notes on their phone, but then notes on their phone doesn't, get used to holding pen and paper. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
putting the pen and paper and
That's
putting things
ultimately the
down.
best, I think, yeah.
It's ultimately the best, and
Yeah.
obviously recording as well is really really good.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think they're the things that mainly help with creativity.
And our
Meditation obviously as well, and
yeah, and
and
having that
sexual
creative flow in the sexual energy as well.
sexual
Don't
energy.
We
Yeah,
can't talk about creative energy and not talk about the sexual energy because sometimes that can unblock you as well, if you need
yeah. Well, look,
um
we all have it. We
we
all
all
have sexual
exactly,
energy
that's
because
why
we're
I'm
all
bringing it
humans,
up.
right? And you need to treat it. You need to treat it as something natural. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Because it is a natural thing,
it
right?
is,
Some people
yes,
say,
yeah.
"Oh, it's very taboo to talk about sex and sexuality and stuff like that." No, just you're a human being. Yeah, be
Mm-hmm.
human. Just
Yes,
stop holding yourself back by saying, "Oh, I shouldn't be talking about sex. I shouldn't be talking about sexual energy." Just yeah,
exactly.
let things flow. Let things flow naturally. You know,
Yes, yes.
so all good. Great call.
It is, yes. We've
Oh,
we've got
podcast.
overachieved in terms of our time. We've gone over the hour, but that's okay.
Great.
Um, so yes, thank you, Stuart. I enjoyed
Thank you.
that. I think it's probably been our liveliest, funniest covered.
We've been a bit giddy on this one, but
I know I don't
a
know what
giddy
it is.
end.
I'm so sorry if anybody's offended.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's all
not
right.
sorry. No, I'm only joking. Laughter's the best medicine, as they always say.
True.
So yes, subscribe to if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed. Is not I always forget about those. Do that. Pass it on to friends who maybe need to hear, or maybe they think they're a bit macho and need to calm down a bit. Maybe they just need more creativity in their life. And what else do we have? We have our Instagram. I think the YouTube and the Facebook has been most popular so far, but that may change over
Yeah,
time. But no, and suggest topics to us. We literally come up with a topic the day before. We don't script a lot. We want this to be a natural flow. We are practicing what we preach. But
yeah,
what we're trying to do is show people how much is inside of them. You can see now we're starting to reach the point where we're just bubbling over and we're nearly talking over each other, but we don't need to. But just being aware of there's so much going on. We're using the tools and talking about things that you're born with. And that book, Think and Grow Rich, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where I read. It wasn't that; it was the other one that was out at the same time. I was thinking Grow Rich, and then there was You Were Born Rich. There's that Bob
yeah,
Proctor's book.
yeah.
There's a few of them are all similar ilk, as I would say.
The magic of thinking big was
Imagine Think Big is fantastic.
yeah.
Not for that guy that was talking about, but hey, um, let's see. I'm sure there's more. We'll put them in the description by the time we get this recorded and or get it edited and live. We always do
Have you
these in
not been
advance
recording?
as well.
Have you not been recording?
Oh no, I forgot. We're going to do it again.
That'd be
Damn
brilliant.
it. I've been recording before we went live, but whether we show
Uh,
that bit or not, no. We'll see what happens. Anyway, nothing left for you to do. You have to get your lovely wife to an
yeah.
appointment, and I will see you in the next one. Okay. Thanks
Great.
for listening. Thanks for
Thanks,
tuning
folks.
in.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Big
Thanks.
love. Bye. See you, Church. Bye.
Thanks.